What if that one conversation that we have been avoiding is the one that can give us a lot of clarity? Today in What It Really Takes, we sit with Gourishankar Mukherjee, who is not only the leader in tech since decades, but also a heartfelt counselor and the founder of the Listening Tree.
So once you are really clinically depressed, for example, then you are going to a
Yeah.
psychiatrist, and that's a health factor. If you can recognize that and maybe go and talk to someone and see what's happening really inside, that will help. There are a lot of people who can do that by themselves.
Even in our adulthood, we have to take certain decisions which can change the entire trajectory, as well as the decisions which makes us feel lost. So during that time, is it important to connect with the counselor? What is the difference between a counselor as well as a psychiatrist? When are the ways or the reasons or the patterns we actually need a counselor? Sometimes the society says something else, but aren't we curious in terms of discovering ourselves, getting heard?
Every counselor should have a counselor. Imagine this, you have say even 5 sessions in a week, 1 per day, and all that is coming inside you. If you cannot be congruent, it's not about sympathizing with the counselee, but having that empathy to understand where that person is coming from, where the pains of that person are. If you cannot understand that, realize that baggages, mental health issues, even more probably than a regular person, because that person is absorbing all that from his or her conscience. Yeah, absolutely. So the answer is a very, very...
If your heart truly whispers you need help, if your heart truly whispers that there's something which is not going right, if your own mind is being so negative, then I would say that this is the right place where you can go and get the counseling and get all the clarity which you need by unlocking your own patterns. Yeah, hi Gauri, how are
Hello,
you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm super excited to have you in What It Really Takes, as in I feel blessed to have the podcast with you. But let me introduce to everyone, Gourishankar Mukherjee, since decades into IT and philanthropic leader, I would say, who has helped me a lot. And he is the delivery head in Coforge and many other companies as well, where we used to work together. And I'm really proud and happy that I was working under Gouri back then. And along with that, the best part is Gouri is also the founder of the Listening Tree. He is a counselor. And here we are to have an amazing conversations on various different parts of our human nature. Yeah, Gauri, I would like to, let you talk about first yourself. There's a story that you were not into IT at all, and you managed to be the leader into IT, and decades. It's a kind of a turning point in your life, if I'm not wrong. How did you manage to come into IT?
I'll talk about that for sure. Before that, thank you very much for having me, Karishma. It's so wonderful to see you
Yeah.
after such a long time. 2 corrections. You did
For
not
sure.
work under me. We worked together. Nobody worked under anyone, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And I'm just a delivery manager at Coforge. uh, Delivery head, not quite. I
You were
manage
head
quite a
of.
few accounts. I
Okay.
was at data team. Yeah. So going back to the story, I was not in IT as in at an age when nobody is in IT. So
Okay.
the time I thought that this is going to be my career, I hadn't even heard the word IT at that time. Right?
Okay.
Computer barely. I hadn't seen a computer at that time. Um, in a school, my I'm from a very very uh, middle class family background. My father somehow managed to send me to one of the costliest schools in Kolkata, and I think it was ninth or 10th standard. I think it was ninth, when our school had arranged for a um, computer camp kind of a thing, and you had to
Okay.
pay, and you had to go into that camp. and just an introduction to computers. So I couldn't even ask my dad to shell out the money that they're asking for. But I could see my friends sitting inside doing whatever in front of the computer, but they got to touch the keyboard,
Okay.
right? They got to sit in front of it. Um, and that's when the fascination started, right? But I was a very, very mediocre student. And so one thing I'm blessed with is I know where I stand exactly and what I should be
Mm-hmm.
aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that going into the IITs of the world or the RECs of the world is not my cup of tea. Um, so after graduating, I sold baby food, I sold fax machines, and this is a time when IT industry in India was not really what it is today. It's even
Okay.
it even predates the Y2K issue that really brought about the boom, right? So saved some money, went into a full-time course, full-time as in 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. Somehow managed to do decent enough so that I got an internship, and then finally I got absorbed, and that's how my career in IT, so to say, started.
Okay, so Gauri, once we had this talk, like, the course which you did, and you were saying that the course was something where the professionals working into IT, they
Yes,
used to. So,
yes.
is it still there? Because I believe that, nowadays students need those kind of
I am
courses.
sure the course is there. So it was CMC Limited. The company I'm talking about is CMC Limited, and I was there for about 5 years. And whatever I am today is because of that company. So it had an
Okay,
education and training center. All Most of them were ex IBM fellows um, who had formed this company once IBM left India in '77. Um, and yes, at that time, there were a lot of people who were in the service wing of CMC Limited, but they would come over and train. And all these people that used to train us were industry experts. They are not like
okay,
they did their engineering in computer science and then went straight away into training without having any background in the actual industry. They know what it takes. They know what it means to be in the IT industry, at least at that time. Now, I am not too sure, Karishma, to be frank. I don't, because CMC has long been bought over by another giant. Uh,
okay, okay,
um, so I don't know whether it's even now called CMC Limited anymore. It had a wide network of ENT centers, that is education and training centers. I don't know if that the value of that brand of the education and training side is still what it was
back
30,
then.
35 years back, or it has
Yeah.
diluted since then. That I'm not quite sure about. But what it was at that time was it made me to some extent.
Okay, okay, and that's how. And you got the, like, is it just out of curiosity, like, is it you got the placement, or you tried to figure out? Because these days students, right? I mean, they are getting a lot of stress and pressure in terms of getting a job, and so many people
Mhm.
are getting stressed, like, so how was it back then? As in, you had certain ways, and uh, this time, like, comparing it to this time, like, the students, how they can get it.
Things are, I think, much tougher today.
Yeah.
At least I had it really easy at the time, right? Because as I said, did reasonably well um, during those 6 months, and so I got picked as an intern. Didn't have to fight a lot. Only thing is the attitude that we had, um, good or bad. I'm not good getting into that judgment, but say yes even before knowing what it is. Will you do it? Yes. Can you do it? Yes.
Yes.
Um, and then that 1 year of internship must have done something right. So we were offered a job. It was just not me. There are 3 or 4 other guys also who got that internship opportunity. So in a way, that was much easier for us back then. At least I had it much easier than the kids of today. IT was not what it is today, right? And there are so many institutions that are churning graduates, um, not taking too much care about their employability. You have a curriculum, you just teach that curriculum. The students are mugging that up somehow, throwing that up on the answer scripts, and they are a graduate, computer science graduate. But are they really employable? What does it take to become an employable candidate? That's a whole new issue, whole different
Yeah,
question, right?
true. As
So,
in so many, Gauri, like, even I get a lot of calls sometimes from students from different places, be it India, be it like, Canada or in States. They have gone, they are studying, a lot of people under pressure. It has been 3 months, 6 months. They are trying,
mm,
trying, trying. 300, 400 places they are trying. That's what they say. I give them advices in terms of how they should try and what they should do, but that's causing a lot of stress. And I've seen stories where, students are coming back and parents are calling them back because they are getting into stress and anxieties and, this is how right now I see it is going, or
right.
this is the particular direction it is going into.
Mm,
Yeah, and that's why I was like, uh, how do they manage? And that's when, how do we help them in this way? Like, in a way that, they get the job in the right place, or are they in the right direction in the first place?
that's the key question, right? Are they in the
Right
right path?
direction.
Um, Whatever field they are in doesn't have to be computer science. There could be any field. But why are they in that field? Do they know themselves? Um, or are they there because Sharmaji's daughter or Guptaji's son or Mishraji's nephew went into that field and is now well settled? And that word uh, bugs me like anything. Uh, and so you must do it. Um, but if
True.
someone is already struggling, they are. I don't think that even now, if no time is too late, and I can say that from my own personal lived experience, right? No time is too late, but the sooner you recognize and the sooner you stand up for what you really, really want to do in life, it's better for you. See, you or I cannot go and find a job for them. That's
Yeah.
that's really not going to help. What can be done, and life is not going to go according to your plan,
Yeah. True.
right?
So
So
true.
what you can do is to make people more resilient. These challenges will come. How do you deal with that? That's where I think people like you, Karishma, can help a lot.
Oh,
Mhm.
I guess the resilience is because of the experiences of life. I
Yeah.
still remember, like, there have been the breakdown points in my life also. And how did I, like, the way I have overcome it. And that's how I feel that, you get to know your potential when you get,
So what I was trying to say is everybody's challenges are going to be different.
yeah,
Your challenge is going to be different from my challenges, and that's going to be different from my son's challenges or my daughter's challenges. Right? They're different. Only thing common is that the challenges will be there, and how to
and
deal. So you're not going to be prescriptive about how to deal with that challenge. The prescription is, or the learnings are, how do you deal with it, with any challenge, and that's building that inner strength. right? The
How do you
life
build that
lessons.
inner strength?
So anything that does not kill you makes you stronger, right? So
And
the
that's, I
more,
guess, human survival.
yeah, the more mistakes you make in life, that's the difference between an inexperienced person and an experienced person. That's what I firmly believe. If I have got 3 decades of experience, that means I have made a lot more mistakes than you have. And if you
It
can,
also depends. Yeah.
and if you can recognize that and learn from those mistakes, as long as you are not repeating them, you are getting stronger every time with every mistake.
So true. Learning from the mistakes is something which is very much important, or else, this is what my experience is. If you're not learning, which I used to, like, repeating the same thing, and it goes in loop. It goes in loop, be it in your career or be it in your personal life. Like, for me, I had that loop until a point came where I was totally into, like, the depression part, where I had no
Mhm.
option
Yeah.
to save myself. And that's when I realized challenges are like exams. Like, you have to exam in the sense, like, to pass the 10th class, you have to
Mhm.
pass it. If you're not passing it, you have to repeat that 10th class again and again until unless you pass it properly. Else the same challenge will repeat.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't stop after you pass the 10th class. After 10th, there will be a 12th, there will be a graduation, there will be post graduation, there will be a
Oh,
doctorate, there will be postdoc. So it's not like,
until you
okay,
die.
as soon as I'm done with this challenge, my life is settled. That's
Out.
not how it's going to
No.
be.
It's,
That's not
yeah,
how it's going to
true,
be.
true, true. But Gauri, tell me one thing. Like, how did you do in the world of counseling? Like, you're the founder of Listening Tree,
Yes.
and you're building that foundation strong. Like, first of all, why the name Listening Tree? And from corporate, doing, like, while working in corporate, you're also doing, being in the world of counseling. Oh, what made you go in that?
So, all right, let me just collect my thoughts. Um, so, being in corporate or for that matter in any profession, uh, you are always going to carry your mind, right? Counseling as
Mm.
part of mental health. So, it is all pervasive. Um, so, I don't see, practicing counseling or being a to be able to contribute somewhat a little bit whatever one person can towards mental well-being of people. It doesn't have any difference as any fight with any world, let alone corporate world. It's there anywhere. The reason I started listening to is it's been some time, say past 15, 20 years or so, where I found um, myself not talking but listening to people. Um, Outside work, at work, and not only people who directly listen, report to me, um, but a colleague working in a different department or an ex-colleague even, coming and just venting out. So there is a saying that you shouldn't be gossip at work, and that is true. But there is a difference between gossiping and venting. And
So
if
true.
you think about counseling, also the kind of counseling that I do, um, is non-directive counseling. And you'll see, as soon as you start talking to someone and that person is listening without any judgment and really listening, you feel a
Hmm.
lot lighter. The solutions will come from you. The person who is listening is not going to provide you with any solutions, but just the act of listening without any judgment, being at your corner no matter what, that is what that person is looking for. Now you can say that can be a spouse, that can be a friend, but all of these people, and that's true, that sometimes helps, but they are wearing
Nothing.
another hat. They have got another relationship with you, they have got a friendship with you, or they are your spouse, or their kids, or they are your parents. A counselor is none of that. Counselor is not your friend. Counselor is there just to listen to you, be supportive, without any judgment. I keep using that word judgment over and over again.
Yeah, because people judge.
Yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
so, and funny thing is, the place from where I did my diploma, it's not even a kilometer from my place. I cannot go to any place without passing Banjara Academy. And just like CMC Limited had a huge impact on my IT career, Banjara helped me be the counselor that I am today. Good, bad, um, Banjara made me.
No, I
Taught
mean,
me to,
but yeah,
yeah, but
please. No, no,
so
it taught you
after
to.
it taught me to really find who I am, the person I am, because counseling is something that you need to be very aware of who you yourself are. Security announcements, right? They talk about that oxygen mask, and one
Yeah.
thing that they say is put on your own mask before you put someone help someone else with their mask. So it is like that. You need to understand yourself. You need to be able to help yourself uh, before you can do that for someone else. So that's something that Banjara taught me. And the name listening tree is coming from whatever
Because
I spoke till now, right? It's all about listening. Can someone come and talk to me and feel heard? So I thought that made little sense.
it did make, I mean, I can literally relate it because I remember, when we were in TDT together, the data team,
Hmm.
there was this incident where I was at my lowest, I would say, during work because of XYZ reason. And it was all about work, personal life, all messed up and all. And I remember I was given a break of, like, 1 month. I think I was crying a lot. I was not well that time. I
Yes.
won't say physically, it was mentally. And that
Yeah.
time, I being like, and I see a lot of individuals also, Corey, like, even though we are crying or we are in a worse situation, we still feel like, no, 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 we don't need anyone. Like, we don't need a counselor. What is counselor? Who is counselor? That was that was I back then. No, I
Yeah.
mean, it is all because of the work pressure. And I remember that, you and Ranga, you guys told me take a break of 20 days. You needed because of, being very much, deadlines are there, and I used to be awake and all those things. And that's when it was you with whom I spoke. And I guess I met also after my break. And it was like, I got that kind of comfort zone. You were listening that time also. So I can literally relate to it, like, the journey of being a counselor. But how's the experience, Corey, as in, what to say, people, what kind of problems they come up with? Or what's what do you give them back, like, that this is before a session and this is after a session?
So I
Do you see the impact?
obviously
Yeah.
I cannot go into specifics, right? Uh,
Okay.
because confidentiality is one of the primary things when it comes to counseling. Um,
Ah,
so,
okay.
but from what uh, my counselees have told me um, is what I have been speaking about now, is that they feel that they are heard. Um, they feel that there is someone who is supporting them no matter what, and that helps them to make the decisions that they have to make. So I give this example that if I ask you to climb Everest, some 3,000 feet or something, right? Will you be able to do it today? Today.
I don't know.
So
I would love to
end,
try.
end this podcast, buy a ticket, go straight to Nepal and start climbing Everest.
I wish I could,
So
but no, not now,
exactly, and
obviously.
and just the humongous nature of that thing. So think of that as a problem. But if I
Okay.
said that there are 8,000 small mounds, 1 feet each, and you go across 100 of them per day,
Mm-hmm.
easily doable.
It will
So
be doable, yeah.
can I break that Everest into 8,000 of those smaller mounds, figure out which ones are the most critical for me to solve, and then attack them one at a time, or maybe two at a time. But it's still not an 8,000 feet mountain. It's a small 1 foot hill, mound, not even a hill.
Yeah.
And if you
Okay.
can see it that way, it becomes much easier for you to figure out, okay, this problem, I am not looking at the other 7,999. I'm just looking at this. Solving that becomes much easier.
So that's the thing which you make it for the people who come to you, because I believe that is something so important. Sometimes you just get overwhelmed in your head with so
Yeah,
many things, and mind becomes numb,
yeah, yes.
and you need someone to. That's how the human nature is. Like, you need someone to talk, and when you talk, you get more clarity. But
The
that's
solutions come from you.
it comes, yeah. And I being having the partners at work with me, like, it becomes very much overwhelming. But to be honest, when I talk and discuss, I
Mhm.
get more clarity. But if I don't have it, get suppressed, and it was getting suppressed and suppressed.
Yeah.
But my question is, how do people even recognize that they need to go to the counselor? Because Gauri, to be honest, until unless I hit depression, okay, that time I went to psychiatrist because I had to. I had no other option. I had to. I was in that particular state.
Mhm.
But before that itself, there are patterns you don't accept it. And once I went to the psychiatrist, that person told me to go to the counselor. I didn't even know that who counselors are and all. And I was curious to know myself, because I had this urge of, I want to become all right. How can I get
Yeah.
this? How can I be like this? Like, oh shit, matlab wo nahi hota mentality
Mhm.
that, oh, am I gone like that? Okay,
Yeah.
no. So
Yeah.
I took medicines. It helped me a lot, and I started recovering. But I got to know so much about myself when I went to the counselor, and counselor was just like, talking with me.
Mm.
How do people even realize in their early stages that they need this?
So a lot of it has to do with awareness, right? How do you know that you have to comb your hair, take a bath every day, brush your teeth every day, wash your eyes every day? What's going to happen if you do not comb your hair today or brush your teeth today? Nothing is going to happen tomorrow. But you know this, that you have to do this because you have been made aware, probably from a time when you didn't even have teeth,
Ah,
right? So that awareness is better today, but far from where it should be, at least in our country. So it will come with awareness. Maybe people who are listening to this, they'll spare a moment and think,
true. I mean,
right?
for now also sometimes. Yeah, yeah, please.
Yeah. So it's about a health and hygiene factor, isn't it? Um, so once you are really clinically depressed, for example, then you are going to a
Yeah.
psychiatrist, and that's a health factor. But brushing teeth is not a health factor; it's a hygiene factor. If you can recognize that and maybe go and talk to someone and see what's happening really inside, that will help. There are a lot of people who can do that by themselves, but most of us, me included, need some help.
Okay. Even you go to counselor?
Every counselor should have a counselor. Imagine this: you have, say, even 5 sessions in a week, one per day, and all that is coming inside you. if you cannot be congruent, if you it's not about sympathizing with the counselee, but having that empathy to understand where that person is coming from, where the pains of that person are. If you cannot understand that, realize that you're not a counselor. That guy could as well go and speak to a tree. Yeah. But you are taking all that in. And a counselor at the end of the day is a human being. Counselor will also have challenges. It's like saying the doctor doesn't fall sick, right? Every doctor has
Ah,
to go to another doctor. So of course the counselor will also have baggages, mental health issues, even more probably than a regular person, because that person is absorbing all that from
yeah.
his or her counselors. Yeah, absolutely. So the answer is a very, very strong yes. Counselors must have a counselor that they can go to.
And I to truly believe that, even now, sometimes I, uh, from, uh, tell me one thing, Gauri, how do you figure out this is the right counselor for me? Like, there are so many
It will match.
people need
It,
be,
yeah, and that's absolutely right. And that's the reason I don't even charge my first sessions,
okay, okay,
because you need to know that this, and it will you will find out. How do you know that this person is someone with whom I can continue my um, relationship, whatever kind of relationship that is, a friend or a family member, whatever. So that will come from within. I wouldn't suggest that you look for these signs, but then you can find out if that person, the kind of
Ye-
language that person is using,
yeah, it
is
clicks.
that person, yeah, it clicks exactly.
It
And I would suggest,
experience
don't,
seeking.
yeah, yeah, don't just stick with the first person that you come across as a counselor. If it doesn't click, don't waste a moment's time to go to someone else. That person could be a very good counselor,
But
but
not for
not for
you.
you.
True. I mean, this is something I did experience. Like, even though I was going to psychiatrist, but counselor, they suggested me that, even though you are taking medicines, go to counselor because you'll get a lot of clarity about yourself. That's what he
Yeah,
told. And in the urge of, I want to get better, I was like, okay. And it was not one, it was like one, two, three different places I went, spoke, venting it out. So it's okay to go for a world tour to find the right one, is it?
absolutely, absolutely. So
But
it's not
Gauri,
like you
how?
have got a
Huh.
fever and the doctor gives you a paracetamol and you take it and you are fine. It's not like that, right? So it's a whole different world. The counseling world is, and as you said, it's perfectly all right to keep looking for that fit.
But are there any certain patterns or thoughts, Gauri, like in the early stages, or that usually points to deeper inner work, and like, the person needs the counselor, as in how people get to know about it? I believe if I would have done it earlier, knowing the patterns or something, I wouldn't have reached to a stage of crisis. Is it like you have to go through the crisis to get in touch with a counselor?
I wouldn't say so, though that happens more often than not. You go to a counselor when you
Yeah.
feel that you must be going there now because you have a challenge with you. But that doesn't mean that all of us should every year go once to the counselor, like a physical check. You do a mental check also, but it's no harm, right? You can just go and see, just talk to someone and see how it comes out. I don't, at least I haven't given a thought, or I don't think there is any trigger point, um, other than when you feel really, yes, now I am down and I need to go to someone. I don't think, but
Okay.
just being cognizant of certain things, what your thought patterns are, it will tell you. It will tell you. I'm sorry if you are expecting a more definitive answer, but frankly speaking, I don't have a more definitive
No,
answer
no,
right
no, no, no. No, no, no. It is just out of curiosity, Gauri, because to
now.
be honest, Gauri, I really feel that, outside, like, not in India, but outside, people take it very seriously that, the counselors are needed and we should talk. But over here, the mentality is so different and people don't go. I've seen in my workplace also that,
Mm.
there are so many people. I can see it because I've been through things and I've also been through counselors and all. You get to know that, the person needs counseling. You just get to know from the behavior.
Yes.
But the other person is not ready. Like, no, nothing has happened
Yeah.
to me. So,
Yeah. Because it's a taboo, right? You are going to a counselor. That means you are mad, you are
yeah.
crazy. That taboo is still there a lot. And since you're talking about how they are different across countries, it's the practice of counseling is not even organized in our country. So if I was in the US or in the UK, I couldn't even call myself a counselor. There is no license
Okay.
required for me to become a counselor. I didn't even have to go and do a diploma. I just could open a shop and say counselor and sit in front of a table. That's how it is in our country.
Outside,
In India,
in our country.
in our country, yes. But outside, you have to have a license to be able to practice counseling.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. In our country, it is like that.
Yeah,
I have heard the stories from my friends that, there are certain counselors, they take a package of money and then the experience is so bad. But it depends on person to person. I mean, I'm very picky, so uh, I have been lucky, but this is the news to me, to be honest.
yeah.
How do you get to know that, then it becomes a trap also sometimes, right? For a lot of
It can,
people.
yeah, it can, yeah. And a lot of people are making good money.
Okay. Gauri, tell me one thing. Who are the specific people like, you serve or who is your niche, like counselor for? Uh, and is there any age group or something?
Uh, Age group, as in what I am trying to do now, a little bit more focus. I wouldn't call it my niche, um, but
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more
Sorry.
focused, a little bit more work on young adults, as in people between the age group of say 18 to 24.
Okay.
Um, People who I was 40 years back,
Okay.
right? Um, Not from the wealthiest of families, not from tier one cities, managed to do an engineering. Their family managed to put them through an engineering degree somehow, and now they are probably in a big city trying to figure out life, how to get the people that you were talking about earlier, at the very beginning. You remember?
Ah,
Uh, Now,
the students.
I was very privileged because my dad somehow could manage to send me to a school, a prime, one of the prime schools. My kids are privileged. Not all of them are. Not all of our kids are as privileged. So someone has taught them, for example, what computer science is. Someone has taught them how to code in Java. Who is teaching them or who is supporting them? Who am I to teach? But who is at least supporting them when they are not finding a job for 3 months in a foreign land? What to do? Where to get that inner
Mm-hmm.
strength from? Who is teaching them
Mm-hmm.
that? When they get into a corporation and they find 50 different kinds of people around them, who is teaching them how to deal with that? how to communicate. And communication is not just being able to speak good English, right? A lot of it is how do you listen, how do you read between the lines, what your body languages should be. Um, Simple example. Uh, there is one guy who is from one of the Eastern Indian states. His family is staying there.
Mm-hmm.
He comes over to Bangalore to study,
Mm-hmm.
studies, gets a job, meets a girl who is local from Bangalore, marries. Now, this company that he is working for has got an office in Noida also. But there are no offices of the company where he works in his hometown. Now, if he is
Mm-hmm.
working for Noida, then he is much closer to his elderly family, father and mother.
Mm.
He wants to work out of Noida. His wife's family, though, is in Bangalore. What does this guy do? She doesn't want to move out. That's a situation that is not that um, rare, right? Today, when people are moving, leaving their
Common.
hometowns,
Yeah.
it's very common. Now, I cannot solve that problem. And this is an early young adult problem. Maybe not really 24, but maybe 25, 26. But if you are trying to find that solution when you are 26, 27, 28, vis-a-vis, if you are prepared, your mental toughness is prepared, your resilience is prepared, you know what empathy means, so that you understand why your parents are behaving the way they are behaving, why your spouse is behaving the way he or she
Oh.
is behaving. Do you have that integrity to say what you are feeling inside? So if that can somehow be introduced, I'm not going to say trained, who I'm, again, I keep on saying that I'm nobody to teach or prescribe something, right? But if these concepts are introduced early enough, it becomes easier for that kid to understand, that answer that question, who I am, who am I? And maybe it makes life a little bit easier for these guys.
Uh, it is so true. I mean, this particular perspective, and it is so much needed. Sometimes, being sensitive, even now, sometimes I just, I'm upset or angry, I just vent it out. That's when one of my partner, like, into spirituality and counseling and all, is like, instead of yelling back, the person says, "What is wrong? What's happening inside you?"
Yeah.
And it makes me figure out my patterns. Like, yeah, actually, there's something wrong inside me. I have to fix it instead of, and the
Okay, so
same thing, I
I
become
don't
more considerate.
really like the word or the phrase, there is something wrong inside me. There is nothing wrong
Okay,
inside you.
wrong.
Something
Yeah,
else is going on,
yeah,
which is
which needs to
manifesting
be fixed.
in a different format, probably. And if you can
Oh,
understand that, realize that there is nothing wrong with you. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with you.
yes, wrong choice of word though. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the people, the way they sometimes react, uh, it's not like, you become more empathetic if you understand about your own emotions, and you become empathetic towards others' emotions also, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes.
what a counselor brings in you, that empathy, that understanding, which sometimes, it not sometimes, it's so beneficial, or I would say it becomes, I'm not finding the word, it brings harmony in so many ways in the relationships which you have with your spouse or with your parents
Mm.
or with any person you talk with. uh, because if the person is yelling or if the person is behaving in certain way, you don't get angry of this. You feel like there's something going on,
Right.
and you
And
feel
more,
empathetic towards that.
what I have seen, my experience is, when someone uses the word empathy, people immediately think that I am supporting the other person. If I'm empathetic, I'm support. I don't need to support. If you are angry and
Huh.
I don't need to say yes, you are supposed to be angry. Empathy is, I can understand why you are angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it, so it's totally different. I don't need to tell you that it's not sympathy. I
No.
may not agree with the reasons, but I know what the reasons are.
Yeah, yeah. The support, it's a complete different thing. Like, you empathize with someone that, yeah, something is bothering and you understand, you give that person a time, talk to that person if they want to, you listen to that person, give your perspective in terms of understanding them. But if the person, you feel if the person is wrong, it's not a support which you're giving. It's you are understanding. I completely, I can get it, Gauri. Can I say that, I can be the counselor? But I get overwhelmed with the word also, because talking about, it really requires a lot of it's a big huge responsibility when you think about being a counselor, because you're dealing with so many emotions and talking about the emotions and helping people out. It's not an easy thing to do, right? How is the
It's
experience? How do you feel, like, after
it's
having?
very fulfilling.
Oh.
It's so, especially when someone comes and tells you that, thank you for the support.
Oh.
You I've had this. You are the person because of whom I am still alive today. Um, that
That feeling.
Yeah,
I
in some small way, other than earning for someone sitting somewhere up top, that I've been able to do something. If I can help one person in my entire counseling career, I'll be happy.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, I can understand that. As in, I went, when I became all fine, I did a lot of things on myself, but I still remember that, in 2025, in the beginning itself, in Jan or Feb, I went to my counselor. I did like 3, 4 months. I went every 2 weeks. I used to go with a lot of curiosity about knowing myself and all those things. And I used to ask so many questions, and I used to get a lot of clarity. And when I became all right, like, my meds over, everything over, I went to her and I went with the gift saying that if you weren't there, I wouldn't have known myself. I mean, I still, like, have that particular feel like she was like a god to me when I needed the most. So I can understand how that feeling uh, would be, because now also
Yes.
when someone comes to me about little piece of advice also, if I give, and people someone comes to me saying thank you, it's a very different feeling than getting just the income for what work you
Yeah.
do, XYZ.
Yes. Yes.
True.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. But I
So
try to
Gauri,
not give any advice to anyone, though.
okay. No advice in the sense, for me it is not
And
about counseling, emotions,
I'm
advice and
just
all.
yanking your chain, Karishma.
No, no, but there are a lot of students who comes to me that, ma'am, can you just pass this, like, get me a job and all. And I'm like, I can help you out how you can get the job in the ways I found, like my experiences and journey. But
Mm.
if it helps and clicks someone, it feels so good. I
Yeah.
mean, that kind of feeling is so different than any other feeling I used to get before, like helping out someone in some ways. And
Yes.
I guess these perspectives matters a lot, Gauri, as in uh, why we need a counselor. And it's like right now, if I'm feeling low, I can actually how people get in touch with you, as in how do they get to know that Gauri
Right
is there?
now, it is right now it is primary. So almost all of the counselees that I've had are through word of mouth. But I do have a
Okay.
website. There is an Instagram account. Um, so that's primarily for awareness. What I was talking about before.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
till now, so these are the various channels that I have through which people get to know.
Okay. Got it. Somehow I believe when you have this negative patterns inside you, right? I can't do it, or this anxiety of not getting a job. I guess that is the time you should directly connect with the counselor to talk about it, because you need that motivation.
Yes,
And
yes.
eh, people just think that, no, I don't need someone, but it's like a friend. I would say that, you are talking and understanding more about yourself.
You can think a counselor as a friend. I would advise not to, though. A counselor is a counselor, not a friend.
Okay.
The counselor is
As
not
in,
your friend, not your brother, not your sister. He or she is a counselor.
okay, got it. Corey, tell me one thing, curiosity, okay? Like, you would have heard about corporate politics, right?
Yeah.
So, hasn't ever happened that, you personally encountered office politics, and how, as in, yeah, first of all, have you ever encountered in your journey?
In 30 years, would you believe if I said no?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Of
How
course.
would you like to say more about it? Like, kind of your experience, and how was your day to day, and how it affects someone's mental health.
So, if you are expecting 1 crore rupees coming in to your account, say in the next 1 hour, and after 1 hour, it does come in. You are expecting it from, say, past 1 2 months. Somebody said that that's going to come in. Vis-a-vis, suddenly after the podcast, that your phone goes ping and you see your account has been credited with 1 crore.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I'm saying this is it's something that you should expect. You should know that it is going to happen. And you talk about politics, we are, again, this is my interpretation of the world. This is what I learned from my lived experience. It could be different for other people as well. We are all political. Um, how do I get things done the way I want it to happen? Politics. And we do that not only at work. I do that all the time. Someone who says I never do that, I'll say good for you. So if you think that you are going to go in a world where, when you are going into the corporate world, and that there is going to be no politics at all, where people will not try to have things turn up the way they want it to turn up for their own benefit, then you are living in a fool's world. And that's why I keep on saying that at work, you do not have friends. At work, you have got colleagues. And that distinction is very, very critical. You need to be friendly. You could be friendly. People could be friendly to you also, but you don't have friends there.
Like, can I? I
Of course,
believe
please.
I believe I felt that after TDT, never before
Mhm.
that. TDT was the data team. We never felt politics, I would say, in the early stages of the company, and we were like friends, now also connected. not
Right,
colleagues, but
right.
it's hardly or it's rare to find the same thing. I would say in any other companies, it's very rare companies which don't have politics at all, or maybe like it had and
Mhm.
we were part of it. But see, I understand that every person is political body, but there's a role of we want to get things done the way we want, and every human would like that. But then
Mhm.
at the cost of someone else's, um,
Collateral damage. That's how they define it.
yeah, yeah.
It's
And
collateral
I
damage.
have seen, yeah, as in, has it been that you were the victim of the collateral
Oh
damage
yes,
or something like
of
that?
course, of course. I have I have
And how
lost
did you
jobs
manage
because
to?
of that. I have lost jobs because
That
of
is
that.
the only that is the only way that people either leave the job, or is there any other way out to that?
If you are aware and if you can realize what's going on, if your radars are on, you can try and safeguard yourself. But there will be some times when, see, so there are a few people I respect a lot whom I have never met. For example, Simon Sinek. For example, Stephen Covey. And
Simon
what
Sinek.
um, one of the things that Stephen Covey talks about are the circles of influence and concern. Right? So concentrate on your circle of influence, the things that you can control. Be aware of what's there in your circle of concern, and try to reduce the gap between your circle of influence and circle of concern. There will be scenarios you are a software engineer or a project manager, and then two EVPs are fighting between themselves. What the heck can you do? I am being very practical and pragmatic, right? In the corporate world, what the heck will you do?
I
Safeguard
I
yourself.
don't know.
That's all you can do. There will be times that you cannot do anything. So try to, and these I'm talking about very toxic environments, right? So one thing that Simon Sinek says that you are not in charge of people. You are supposed to take care of people that are in your charge.
Yeah,
And not, why not? Most of our leaders are not that way. So if you can recognize that, if you find a very toxic environment, it's better to move out. See, the organization is not going to change because Gouri wants it to be changed or Karishma wants it to be changed. So look out for yourself. You're not married to the company that you are working today. No?
true that, but I don't know. I just feel that, I have seen cases of many people where, because of politics, they have not politics, like, I would say gaslighting,
Uh-huh.
getting bullied in the fan circle itself and all. The person has become very pessimistic, negative, criticizing themselves. They don't even get to know that they are doing that. Okay.
Right,
The
right.
fear is there, to not leave the company because I don't know how I'll survive elsewhere, XYZ.
Hmm,
I have
hmm,
seen people, one of my friends, so good with technically, so good
hmm,
team lead, can become the manager. Win-win situation for both company as well as the employee if the person is getting the role of VP and all. But just because of office politics, the person had to leave the job and find somewhere else. Like these kind of cases, I have
yeah.
been a victim, and I was lucky enough to. I figured I figured that I'm the victim after, like I would say that I took an action, and after
Hmm,
taking the action I got to know, okay, there were things which were happening against me, but I was lucky enough, I would say that there was this particular scenario where I was in one job role in a company, and uh, they had given me relocation and all those things, and they were expecting me
hmm,
to be in that company, be in that role for a longer time. But because of the way the role was getting restructured, I was not feeling like I'm giving justice to the role. And for me, if I'm not giving justice to something, I'm not able to live with that. That kind of person I am. So I just planned, okay, fine, let me switch roles somewhere else and all those things, and let me do justice to my work. Or else, how will I be? I don't know. I can't work if I'm not satisfied with that.
Right,
So I
right.
shifted. And when I planned to shift, I didn't know what politics is. This is my first experience with office politics. When I shifted Gauri, that time, this particular, I got a feedback, very negative feedback. Half things are written all false, and it was all meant to, like, uh, show that, what kind of person I am, or maybe XYZ, I don't know. Maybe I'm perceiving it in a wrong way, but it felt that way. I was lucky that
Hmm.
my new manager in the new role didn't check that while hiring me. He checked after a
Hmm.
month after hiring. So if they would have checked before, I wouldn't have been hired in the new position, and the old position also I would have, this kind of things happens, and because of which there's so many people who are not leaving their current position, because sometimes it's like all politics. And what to be done in this kind of situation? I mean, how to deal with this situation? Sometimes I wonder, as in, this is causing a lot of mental. Doesn't it cause a mental health, and doesn't it
It
impact
does. It
the
absolutely
person?
does. It absolutely does. And that's where that program that I was talking about, I call it GRIT, from
Okay.
growth, resilience, integrity, and training. So that's what GRIT stands for, right? So if you
Uh huh.
know that someone is gaslighting you, if you can recognize
Okay.
that when it is happening, then there is a preparation, right?
Okay.
But if you don't and you get gaslighted, then it reduces your self worth. It draws away from your self confidence, because then you start thinking, yes, I am that I am being told I am.
And what it
But if
gives you? Grit. Yeah.
grit is all that we have been talking about for the past, say, 15-20 minutes. So how, if I am
Yeah.
resilient enough to
Uh
to
huh.
and if I have got that integrity in me, and if I'm trained to
In us.
recognize that and deal with it, it's not about winning that political situation, right? It's not about that. But how do I
Okay.
prepare for that? How do I have that inner strength to go through it? And it's just not office politics. There will be so many things. Even very successful people
Uh,
will have self doubts, will have imposter
yeah.
syndrome. Someday I'll get caught.
Oh.
And at work, there are so many different things like that comes and impacts you. But my thought is, if you are if you know that these things are going to happen, if not today then tomorrow, and if you are ready, then when it is happening with you, you realize, oh, now it's happening, this is what I've
Mm-hmm.
been trained for. And then you can fight it, you can cope with it, you can defend yourself. Think of the
But.
armed forces, right? I give you uh, an automatic rifle today and go to the border and fight. You have the gun with you. Will you be able to fight? Will you be able to survive 30 seconds? Maybe not. But our soldiers are
Mm-hmm.
trained and trained and trained over a long period of time. I'm not equating these two things, just as an example.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they know what to do, they know what to expect, and then when it happens, they have been trained for it. So a technical challenge comes your way. Your college, your
Mm-hmm.
university has trained you on how to overcome that technical challenge in whatever field
Mm-hmm.
domain you are in. Who has trained you to deal with imposter syndrome? Who has trained you to deal with politics or cope with it? I keep on saying it's not about how to win a political situation. It's not about that. It's about being
How to
cognizant that
train
it's
your
going to
mind.
happen. Yes. How to
Okay.
recognize when somebody is gaslighting you. And if you know I'm
And
being gaslighted,
sometimes
then you won't get gaslighted.
sometimes it also happens that you have become so negative that everything you feel like that's where also when you need a uh, to be aware about, or maybe I'm not sure how to explain that, but uh, you are being gaslighted so much, so much, so much, or you have been said so many negative things that your mind is trained to become negative, and
Yes.
that's like everywhere, whatever anyone is doing, you will just see that the person is gaslighting me or is
Yeah.
negative and all. And so it's all about the moment you become aware, you have to be very aware about yourself. You have to, and that's when
Yeah.
you need to have that counselor to train your mind. That is very much important.
So two things, right?
Mm.
One is you have never been trained on this, and this thing happens.
Mhm.
You are in a far worse situation than if you have been trained. You know what your self worth. You are aware of your self worth, and your self esteem
Hmm.
is high. I won't be even able to gaslight you.
Okay.
Then you will call me out immediately
Yeah,
because you
that is
know who
there.
you are. You know who you
Yeah.
are.
Hmm. True. True.
So
True.
imagine this: you are sitting in a
And
room. There are 10 other people, and someone says, "Hey, all the idiots, stand up." Are you going to stand up?
no. No.
No.
Obviously not. But that's very basic thing, right? No one will stand up if I'm not wrong.
It's a silly example, probably, because you know you are not an idiot.
True, true, true. But the people in fear, and if there are bosses who say that, and people who work under fear, they'll stand, I would say.
Right. So then that's where, so fear has got a basis, right? Fear of what? Fear of losing the job.
Mhm.
Why are you afraid of losing a job? Is it because the family background? Is it because of the responsibilities that you have outside job? Is it because fear of missing out on your life goals? If you are aware of that and you know what you are afraid of, it becomes much easier to deal with it. So that's where again I keep going back to knowing yourself. What are you afraid of?
True. And once you start facing those fears, Nagori,
Hmm?
you get to know, no, you're stronger than those fears. That's when your life, you start becoming unstoppable. But you have to recognize that you're stronger than that. And for that, my experience also says that you need a counselor, you need to talk to someone, you need to become that, be your own counselor or connect with someone, and get that strength and enthusiasm. It
Yes.
takes you need to work on yourself, I believe, and that's what I have learned it hard with life, as in those self talks. Fear, everything you want is on the other side of the fear. The morning, Simon Sinek says that mornings you have to prep yourself, self talk. You have to, why you become empathetic, like how you deal with yourself and all, and that's how you get to know. But these days, and I believe awareness आ रही है लोगों में. With time,
It's
people
much
are getting
better.
those awareness. It's
It's
much
much
better,
better
but
than it was before. Not quite there, maybe. And I
not
would
quite
say
there. But
I would thank the celebrities, because they came out. I'm not going to name any person. Quite a few of them
mm,
came out saying that they had been having mental health challenges, and then suddenly people, oh, okay, it's not that bad to have my own challenges myself. If that person can have mental health issues, who apparently has a dream life that I aspire to have, someone, if that person can have mental health challenges, then maybe it's not that uncommon to have mental health issues. So I'm thankful to quite a few of them for coming out and speaking about their own mental health issues. That helped probably a little bit.
I somehow feel, Gauri, that it is not a mental health issue, but how people take classes for, okay, they want to learn computer science, or they want to learn physics, XYZ, like marketing, XYZ. It is like I want to learn about myself. It
Yeah.
has to be so proactive. They have to be proactive
Yes.
instead of thinking, okay, fine. In fact, I don't have anything. I'm not broken. I don't have crisis, but I am doing computer science, or there are students who says that I don't know why I'm in NIT and why I'm doing this electronics and communications. I'm just doing for the sake of doing. Those are the students who should come to the counselor with all curiosity, that proactivity, that who am I? I want to know
Yes.
myself
Yes.
so that
Yes.
I can
So I'm
take the right direction in my career or in my
so
personal life.
I'm planning to write a series of books as part of this great program, right? And the
Oh,
first chapter of the
wow.
first book is Who Am I?
Okay,
That's
that's
the name of the
great.
first chapter of the first book. Who am I? And what you are talking about is, if you remember earlier, we were talking about health and hygiene factors, right? So when you are going through a crisis, that's the hygiene, the health factor where you really now need help now. But grit is supposed to be a hygiene factor um, program where you are prepared for
Anyone
the
should
day,
be, yeah.
where you are prepared
How do
for
you
the day
register?
when you
Yeah,
are
sorry.
actually. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry, go ahead.
okay. Sorry, sorry. Where you're prepared for the day when you're actually.
Need it when you actually need that strength, that resilience from inside. So you know
Oh,
yourself. When you don't stand
I
up,
will.
when someone says all the idiots in the room stand up, because you know you are not an idiot.
True, true. So I believe anyone who is going through any stress and all, instead of just going for curriculum courses and all, or finding the job, they should also go for finding themselves out. And how
Yeah,
do I register for GRIT
it will come
program?
in about 2.5 months. It will be all out
Oh,
there. I am just preparing it for it right now, and all of you will
okay,
get to know.
okay. Got it. Sure, sure, sure. And just last question before, like, no, I, in fact, not last questions, last two questions. I'm sorry, I'm taking your
Sure,
time more.
sure.
Students, it's majorly about the students, okay?
Mhm.
Um, Many students feel like they have to figure it out all alone by themselves. How can they begin to recognize what when it's time to talk to someone? Like right now, as in there's ample of students, okay, and when I spoke to one of my cousin, I'll tell you one story, short story, that I want to be like, it was just talking to me. He was talking to me. He was very stressed that I don't know what to study. I know this, but I'm not. I'm a communication person, but that person has more technical knowledge. I've got a job, but I don't want that job because it is giving me just few LPAs and all. And there's this placement coming in, but if I don't take this job, then only I can sit for the placement. And inside his heart, he knew that he doesn't want to take that particular offer. It just he needed me to tell him, don't take it, or else, yeah. And
Yeah.
um, I told him morning, you should run a little. Okay.
Hmm.
You will talk about breathing, you'll talk about this, you'll talk about that. They are running behind doing this and doing that, but they don't recognize, and they'll figure it out all alone. But people don't recognize that, they need help. Like, so how do they figure out that, this is something, it's time to talk to someone? Is it the same question I'm asking,
See,
Gauri?
even if you are 100% sure what you want in your life and how it's going to, so I wouldn't say that there is a that light bulb moment where you figure out, okay, now I should be going and talking to someone. Why wait for that? Go speak with someone. Again, after you have maybe gone through, maybe you are, if you're lucky enough, the first person you go and speak to clicks. Maybe you have to go to 2 or 3 different people. Just speak, have one session. Don't wait for an event to happen to go, and maybe you don't need that help. Maybe that will figure out. Maybe that belief that you have in your mind that I don't need help will get stronger after you talk to someone else. Maybe it will not. Maybe you will realize then that, okay, this has some value. So have that
Hmm.
first chat with anyone who can, who does things like this. So the even for, so what we are talking about is specific to career counseling, right? Which I myself do not do. But then there is a, career counseling is just not helping you get into some institution. Career counseling is figuring out the kind of person you are. Are you left brain? Are you right brain? What are your natural qualities that you already have? Now
Hmm.
that you are, say, a 23, 24-year old young adult, what are the qualities that you have? How does that align with the different kinds of work that's over there? And then if I have to do that, where is my end goal? And then you can slowly come back, okay, so this is what I need to do tomorrow. There are people, there are very good people who can help you do that. It's not about
True.
filling application forms. So that's what I see a lot of career counselors do,
See, there'll
right?
be
Instead
like,
of,
yeah.
so get someone who can help you again figuring out who you are. Don't leave someone else's dream. Find out who you are, what your strengths are, and then
And just
work
go for
accordingly.
it.
Go for it.
Go
Yeah.
for it. I would say, and early in the career, if you go for it, no, you find your way. I would say you
And
have
doesn't
should
matter
have
if
that.
you don't. That's the beauty
Yeah, it
of it.
doesn't matter
Doesn't
if you
matter if you
don't.
don't. At bloody
True,
45, you go and
true.
change your career. Who is stopping you?
Ah, true, true. And it is. I believe for me, I feel that there should be a now the India should take that kind of turn. And my expectations, I can't tell you, but like it should be as normal as okay, I'm going for my art classes, I'm going to my counselor. It should be as common as that. People should talk
Yeah.
about it, like, yeah, I'm going to, and it should be a very good thing, and the people should be like, nice, even I want to go to the counselor. That kind of change or shift people should have.
Yes.
True, true, true. Anyway, it was nice. Like, I'm so done with a lot of questions. Is there anything you would like to ask me, though? Or
How do you feel? How do you feel right now?
I love it, Gauri. I mean, see, the reason why I'm doing this is also there are a lot of perspectives, right? Which has changed my life for good.
Mhm.
Even to start off with my own venture or anything, I took a perspective from Ranga. I had a talk with you, if you remember, and XYZ. Like,
Mhm.
there's good people, and every perspective mattered. So there are so many people, I believe, out there who will be like me, who will be like you, who will be like so many who just need that push or a perspective to just
Mhm.
shift their own journey. So, what I'm doing right now, having a talk with you, being into this journey and connecting with souls like you, I wouldn't have ever done it if I would have been in where I was and didn't knew who am I. So I'm so happy that I got that depression. I'm happy that I worked on myself. I'm happy that I went to the counselor. I'm happy I started something of my own, and I'm happy I'm doing this. Everything is I'm
See,
just grateful about.
so when I talk to my counselees, right, um, being in the present. So my question, I can't tell you enough how happy I am for
Fulfilling,
you
right?
today. Yeah,
Oh
not
God.
about me. How happy I am for you. But my question to you was, how are you feeling now at 2:59 p.m. on 13th of May
Fulfilled.
2025. Right now, how are you feeling?
Can you see it in my face? I am so happy. I'm so happy. I
Brilliant.
Words cannot express the emotions and the feelings I'm going through. But we'll finish off with the last cute rapid fire round. So I have certain questions for you, Gauri,
Okay.
and it is gonna be very quick. Okay, so we are starting now, and you have to answer it. It's gonna be very quick, quick, quick. Okay. If you could ghost one corporate ritual forever, what would it be?
If I could do what? If I could?
Ghost, ghost,
Um,
GHOST,
the a corporate event.
ritual.
The team building activities.
Isn't okay? Isn't it? I don't know.
Totally,
I just want to talk about.
totally defeats as soon as you name something team building activity. It totally defeats the purpose. I
Okay,
hate it.
got it, got it. Cool, cool. That's great. What what's your go-to? One second. Oh shit. Okay, sorry. Again. This is gonna get cut. What's your go-to move when your thoughts won't shut up at 2 a.m.?
That barely happens. Once I hit
Seriously?
the pillow, yeah. Once I hit the, I mean, once my head is on the pillow, I I mean, if something is keeping me awake, then it's keeping me awake, and
Okay, let's leave
I
2 a.m. What's your go-to move when your thoughts won't shut up?
um, music.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Music is very much, I have also read and heard about it that music calms your mind and you should, it something to do with left brain, right brain. Like you should also be listening to music to be in a good state of mind, like for a longer term.
Mhm. I use music to focus also while I'm working.
Ah, same sometimes. Now, after entrepreneurship, I have started doing that.
One song, try this if you have not tried this before. One song, a song that you like, put it in your ears, yeah, and play it in a loop. One song playing in a loop for the first 5 6 minutes.
Just
Yeah.
few of the questions which I have in mind. One compliment that felt more like a warning.
Wow. Compliments are so rare. Ah.
Seriously? Can't believe this, Rory.
No, and uh,
Tough question,
I
huh?
really, I'm stumped. Yeah, it's really, really.
Okay. We'll
I can't
leave
think of
this
it.
particular question.
Maybe I'll come back to it later on.
One small boundary you may have set that made a big difference in your mental health.
We spoke about it in passing. Um, Not having friends at work,
Okay.
only colleagues. Be friendly. Don't make friends.
Who are we, Corey?
Now you are not a colleague.
Oh, good one. Okay. If you were a prime minister, what's the first mental health rule you would have passed?
Um, so licensing of counselors. I would have a licensing process which every counselor or would-be counselor have to go through before they can start practicing counseling. It should be legal to not have a license and start practicing counseling.
So right now, to even call any like even I can call myself as a counselor, is it?
Yeah,
Like
who's going to
this is
stop
how
you?
it
Who's going to stop you? Yes, of course you can.
okay. That is very dangerous.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay. Um, a life skill every student should learn, but school rarely teaches.
A what?
Life skill every student should learn,
So
but school rarely teaches.
there are 10 life skills defined by who?
Okay.
Yeah, and all 10 are extremely important. I'm not going to go over all of them. It's very easy to find out. Just type life skills and who, WHO. You'll get a list of 10. It's
Okay.
really, really
Can you
important
just
that
name one, like which you feel is important? As in, I will go
so
and search, but
okay,
I'm curious to know at least one or two right
forget
now.
about the who life skills. One thing that's really, really important and is going to help is the skill of empathy. People think empathy is a
Oh,
character trait, but it is really a skill. You
it's
can
a skill.
learn, you can learn, and you can use it to your benefit.
True. True. I don't know whether you use it to your benefit or not, but you become empathetic and that's how you are. I mean, but sometimes it's good for you, sometimes it's not.
I don't think so. I would beg to differ there, Karishma. It's never going to be bad for you, provided you
Mm,
know what to do with it.
yeah, yeah. But it's good to be empathetic. I mean, I see my version as before and after. Before and after, as in, it was not like I was like a complete gone case before. But knowing about,
No, no one is a complete gone case. No one is broken. No one needs fixing. People go through challenges. They need some help to overcome those challenges. That's all.
yeah,
No one
but
is gone
being
case.
empathetic, yeah, I shouldn't have used that word, but I didn't know myself before, who I am, what kind of mental strength or potential I carry.
Mhm.
I was a person in fears, and knowing myself now and believing in myself and having a sensitive and empathetic, you know, it just feels so good. I don't know, it feels fulfilling. So people who have empathy or who learn, it's something it's a boon. I would say it's a boon. You're already
Yeah,
blessed. You feel that, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Uh, a conversation that flipped your entire perspective in 5 minutes. Is there any?
Oh, that was, I remember that. Um,
Oh,
that was some time back, and I was really at the receiving end of that conversation. So there are many such conversations, right? But the one that stands right up top is about how I used to deal with people that I work with, and
okay.
I prided myself in being able to call a spade, and that too in front of everyone. And I just went ballistic at one of my coworkers on the floor. That person really did something wrong, and I let my frustration show in front of everyone on the floor. This person listened to me quietly and gave me such a life lesson. After my rant was over, he said, "Can I talk to you in private?" He took me to a room and said, "I agree with whatever you said. I screwed up, but it would have been so much better if you could call me into the same room and told me that instead of saying that in front of the entire office." And I was shattered.
Oh, yeah. But such a, like, he took you to the room. Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Great.
and he was, I think, 10 to 15 years junior to me.
Okay. Wise person,
Yeah,
even in that.
I mean, I don't know, but that in that particular scenario, that particular instance, He was the bigger
It
man, he
changed
was
your
the wiser
perspective.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, got it. That's nice to know the story. The last question: if listening were a workout, what's the muscle most people skip?
So that again, if
If listening were a workout, what's the muscle most people skip?
the inner ear, people hear, don't listen. So people forget that there is a reason we have one mouth and two ears, right? So, um,
It's an art. Listening is an art, I'll tell you. Not everyone is
in,
a good listener.
again, I would beg to differ. It's a skill, and you can develop that.
You can develop that. I'm learning
Of
to
course,
develop that.
you can, of course, because when you are speaking, I'm already thinking how to respond to that. I am creating my counterpoints when you are speaking. I am not trying to think the way you are thinking. I am not trying to see your point of view. I have assumed your point of view is incorrect. Mine is right. And how can I create my points to counter your points? That's what I'm doing,
Perfect. That's
right? And
great.
that's not listening.
That's not listening.
That's not listening. No, because I'm not.
That's like
I'm
you
not.
are
I'm
creating
not
your own.
right. I'm hearing what you are saying, but that's not listening. I have to see your point. I have to see the way you are seeing that the entire world. It's your truth that you are talking about, right? Which could be totally
That's
different from
listening.
my truth. Yes, to be able to understand that, to be able to at least try and understand what your point of view is on certain thing.
Oh, wow. That was deep, Gauri. I mean, yeah, that's all for our podcast.